Hey men, in today's video, I'm going to talk about 6 steps that's required if you want to attract your long-term relationship lover or your wife back the right way. How long does it actually take to implement these steps, and can it work for you? Let's get started.
You just got to be coachable.
Right now, please do me a favor. Please train the algorithm that you also stand for marriage and that this program is radically different from anything else that's out there, and that we're serving men and helping you make progress and get wins in your relationship to restore the marriage or the relationship with the mother of your children, your soulmate, your lover. The way that you can do that is not only click subscribe right now, please also click the bell notification so that as I post new content, you're notified in real time so it's not suppressed. Hello men, if you don't already know who I am, my name is Griffin, and I help men who are facing unwanted divorce or separation forever reattract your long-term relationship lover or your wife back the right way and the right timing. Before we go over the steps, let's talk first about a couple of different reasons your wife or your lover may have actually walked out of the marriage or the relationship. There's always 2 reasons that a woman exits the relationship or she starts having an emotional or a physical affair. The first reason that a woman exits a relationship is because she doesn't feel heard. A lot of times you might hear feedback from your spouse or your lover whenever she's walked out of the relationship or she's told you she wants a separation. And she might have made a comment even like, well, I've tried to tell you for years. Now all of a sudden you want to change. I've told you. I've been telling you for 5 years, 5 months, 5 days. I've tried to bring it up different ways to you and you just haven't listened to me. And now all of a sudden you want to start listening. Guess what? You still don't know how to listen. Even though you might be putting your best foot forward in order to try to figure out how to do that, you're intentionally pursuing her, kind of investigating her the way that you did when you guys met. But she's saying it's too little too late because up until this point, we know for sure that she hasn't felt seen and she hasn't felt heard and she hasn't felt valued. These are the 2 reasons. Basically, I gave you 3 reasons, but they're the same thing. When a woman doesn't feel seen or she doesn't feel heard, she'll never feel valued. And whenever you have the best woman in the world that might be a really great fit for you and you might be a really great fit for her, if she doesn't feel valued, then you're going to feel like she doesn't want you. And that'll escalate to the point that it builds up in something that I always call confirmation bias or cognitive bias. If you're a student of the brain, confirmation bias or cognitive bias is stacked usually over several days, several weeks, and sometimes even several years. There is a way to get rid of confirmation bias, and I'm going to cover that in this video. I want to tell you a quick story. So as most of you know, if you've been watching my channel for some time, you know I live in the Caribbean. I live in Puerto Rico, but I also frequently visit my children and my grandchildren in the United States. I have a home in Arkansas. One of the things that I like to do when I'm at both of my homes is in Puerto Rico, I get up every morning at sunrise, I drink my coffee, I go sit on my balcony, and I meditate on what I want to do for the day, and I pray, and I read scripture. But I like to sit out there and watch the sunrise, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because the story is going to apply to you. One of the things about the sunrise in Puerto Rico is that it's very, very, very fast. If I go into the house for just a moment to get a drink or whatever, for whatever reason, if I come back out, even just within a minute or 2 later, I've already missed that beautiful sun boiling up out of the ocean, and it's already high in the sky. Whenever I'm at my home in the States, I like to do the same thing. I go sit on my front porch. I like to watch the sunrise over the mountains in the Ozark Mountains here in Arkansas, which is where I'm at today recording this. But what's radically different is from my front porch in Arkansas, I'm watching the same sunrise from the same planet. I'm the same man, but that sunrise is so slow. It's almost unbearably slow sometimes because I'm used to watching it in the Caribbean. So here's a question for you. True or false? The sunrise is very fast. The answer's true. I just told you that it's very fast when I'm watching it from Puerto Rico. I have a follow-up question. The sunrise is very slow. True or false? Not a trick question. The answer is also true. So what we're looking at here is we have facts here, we have facts here, but they're both opposing, but both are true. This is where you're at. You're watching the sunrise from Puerto Rico. Your wife is watching the sunrise from Little Rock, Arkansas. Same sunrise, same planet, different facts, but both are true. I teach you how to see beauty in that. Today, you're frustrated because you don't understand how to see opposing facts as truth. What your truth is not her truth. And if you want to build a relationship or a marriage built on intimacy, which is how you actually become soulmates, you've got to see how the sunrise is really slow, even though right now you only see it as rising fast. What's the difference? It's your perspective, your vantage point. So what are the 6 steps that I take men on as we restore relationships or marriages in the DivorceStoppers program? And we always have a goal in the beginning, the first 7 days of the program. We do what I call a need for speed. The goal is to turn the train around that's heading for divorce or long-term relationship dissolving forever. Our goal is always to turn that train around using communication in 7 days. And the way that we do that is we position your communication in a way that you intimately make your wife or your lover feel heard and seen. And the way that you do that, the way that we start the process of letting the wall down of confirmation bias is causing her to feel heard and seen using communication. My preference always in the first week to turn the marriage or the relationship around is by utilizing text message because most men have access to text message. And if you're somebody that doesn't, we can use verbal communication. And if you're somebody that doesn't have access to regular communication with your wife or your lover, we do have some things that you can actually implement to increase the communication to promote her to actually want to have conversations with her. But if you're thinking, Denver, I'm already talking to her pretty regularly. I've listened to your videos. I'm acting in the way that's positive, polite, and playful. I am happy. I am happy. I am happy. I'm positive. I'm polite. I'm playful, but it's not working. It's not enough. I've seen some wins, but it's not next level. Well, actually in the DivorceStoppers program, in the first 7 days of the actual program, I put you on an immersive journey where I very much in depth teach you this is how you build intimacy with this communication. And you're like, well, Denver, right now we're only talking about logistical stuff. We're talking about the mortgage. We're talking about the kids, the drop off, the school records, the doctor's visits, Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Guess what? You can completely make her feel heard, valued, and seen in the first 7 days. You can intimately and in real life drastically turn the train around that's heading for game over, that's heading for divorce, that's heading for separation forever. And you can 100% always do that in 7 days if you're coachable. And you do that through communication. My preference again is text communication. And I dig deep on how to actually do that, even when you're not talking about the relationship, even when you're not talking about the marriage. You're only talking about logistical stuff, bills, business matter, children. Those things are tools that we can actually implement as a new way of communication by teaching you how to actually make her feel heard and seen in that communication, which will bring that wall down that she has of confirmation bias up. We march around that wall the right way. I give you the correct action steps to put your action with your faith. Faith without works is dead. I show you how to actually put that faith into work. And we do that in 7 days. Now, if you're listening to this video and you're not sure if your situation is so unique that wouldn't work for you, like you're doubting, well, I don't know. I've been in this other program. They've been teaching me no contact or some of this other stuff about getting my life together, healing from my own traumas, stopping the alcoholism, stopping the addiction, stop being a narcissist. I'm in anger management, whatever. But you feel like that you can't have a turnaround in 7 days because your situation is so unique. Put in the comments right now if that's you. Let me know what your situation is that you feel that way about, and I'll respond to each and every single comment to let you know, is this something I've ever worked with? And do I feel like that you too could actually turn this around in the 7 days? Now, oftentimes, in addition to bringing down that wall and restoring the communication, that's not all that's required to restore a marriage or a relationship. That's not all that's going to be required in order for your wife to actually change her mind, in order for your lover to say, okay, I'm going to drop the divorce or let's end the separation. But what we do is we capitalize on that momentum. What I just told you about bringing down the wall, making her feel heard, making her feel seen, that's simply the foundation of communication. And then once we cure that foundation, we know the foundation is level, the train is successfully turned around, you're heading back in the other direction. Once that's done in the first week, we always take and build on that foundation. So next we build a building of restoration. We rebuild the marriage from the ground up, and it's a very, very easy thing to do. And the way that we do that is we tell ourselves, here is the easy path of psychologically restoring a relationship, rebuilding intimacy in the relationship, in the marriage, getting out of the friend zone, leading her back into a relationship where you're always communicating in the masculine. You position her so that she feels emotionally safe to communicate in the feminine. And then we capitalize on that to increase in sexual polarity, to increase in the sexual attraction. We don't want you to get stuck in the friend zone. So how do we do that, especially when there's past histories? Well, that leads me to number 3. We're always going to deal with past resentment, past traumas. This could be from your childhood. This can be from her childhood. This can be from your marriage. This could be from betrayal. This could be from lies. This could be from affair. This could be positioning you to forgive her for having an emotional or physical affair. This could position her how to forgive you. Well, Denver, I did some things and she said she already forgave me, but it's too little too late. She still doesn't want the marriage. It's because she hasn't forgiven you the right way because she doesn't understand how to. She might have said the words, I forgive you. You might have said the words, I forgive you, but you both have resentment. And the form of resentment that's showing up if you're in a separation or that's where you're headed is part of confirmation bias. But now that we've actually started bringing the wall down and she feels heard, she feels valued, and now she starts actually wanting to communicate with you, and you start the first phase, the first process of getting yourself now out of depression because you've seen some wins in the relationship and you know you've turned around. At this point, now you're ready to capitalize on rebuilding that relationship, telling yourself, I'm going to put on a tie today and become a masculine man. You see the tie that I'm wearing, guys? I'm wearing it right now. And I'm wearing the tie of success. It's called TIE. This is easy. This is easy. A 1% man always wears a tie because everything that he wants in his life, including how to lead his wife to happiness within the relationship, how to position your lover that she wants to come back to you because you not only deserve it, but you position her that she's also cared for, valued, heard, and seen, and she can thrive within your garden. Right now, in her mind, the grass is greener on the other side. She can't blossom. She can't bloom. She can't be herself because there's too much damage. There's too much negative relationship histories. There's too much trauma. And right now, neither of you know how to deal with that resentment because nobody out there, in my opinion, is teaching how do you actually do that. Instead of focusing on the problems like counseling often tells you to do, you've got to position it so that we address these in a way that neither of you will remember these negative relationship histories in judgment of the relationship moving forward. That's true forgiveness. True forgiveness is actually forgetting. Denver, I can never forget that she had an affair. She could never forget that I have an affair. You guys have told each other that you forgive each other, but it's still there. It's because you haven't forgot it with regards to remembering it no more when it comes to the relationship. Neither of you understand how to let that go. The way that we deal with past pain, trauma, past relationship histories that are negative, past resentment, we actually cover that in our program. It's called step number 8, and we deal with that very successfully in the 4th week. Right now, your relationship is not strong enough to deal with that. So what we do is we capitalize on building some momentum in the intimacy, in rebuilding the friendship, in rebuilding a little bit of romance, and that takes about a month to establish that. Once we've turned the train around and we've capitalized on that and practiced the communication, rebuilt some new relationship histories that are positive in both of your opinions, then we address those things in a way that we're not looking to the past. We're not going to hold you to your past. We're not going to hold her to her past, but there are going to be some things that need to be addressed with the goal that we use those past traumas. We use those past resentments as a spring to put under the board that we use to launch the relationship forward. So even when we address those negative things, we do it with the intentions that you both are going to feel good about it. We position you and her in a way that it feels good. You both feel intimately connected in the way that we address these, with the goal being to move the relationship forward. We don't want to put you guys in hell on earth again by digging up bones that are going to put you both in a position to be angry and scream at each other. We use this to build intimacy. We use this to strengthen the relationship. And guess what? This is easy. And you'll make it feel easy with her when I teach you the level of masculine leadership that we do within the program called DivorceStoppers. Number 4, even after you do that, that's not going to be enough. Well, Denver, why not? It sounds like if I've established communication, she feels good about the relationship, we've brought the wall down, she's truly let go of the past, we're using that to mend and have a great future together. If at this point it sounds like the relationship is restored, but why not? Why is it still not going to work? Here's why. Because your wife or your lover has also recruited other people to help her justify the reasons to exit the relationship. And so what happens if she were to come in at this point, it's not going to be enough. You've got to add to it. Well, Denver, what are you talking about? If she's enrolled what I call some enemies of the marriage, all of you watching this video, there's an enemy of the relationship. There is an enemy of the marriage. It could be an affair partner. It could be a mother-in-law. It could be another miserable person. It's usually a woman that's miserable with her life. She's had failed relationships after failed relationships. And now that your wife or your lover feels like she's in a failed relationship, she's latched on to somebody that's been there to support her emotionally, to help enable and support her to exit the relationship because misery loves misery. None of your wives, none of your lovers are extremely happy women when they exit the relationship. And right now, the majority of them think that the reason that they're unhappy is because of you, that they will never be able to find their happiness within the relationship because you're responsible for their unhappiness. And guess what? A lot of that is probably true. Most likely, you're like everybody else. You've contributed to the unhappiness. Probably you sensed she was unhappy. You showed up to support her and enroll her in Let's Fix You. And then she sensed that you were unhappy about her unhappiness. And now she feels responsible for not only her unhappiness, but also for your unhappiness. If you feel like that's where you're at today, put that in the comments and let me know if that's what you're dealing with. And if you think that there's no way out of that, put that in the comments why you don't think there's a way out of that. And I promise I'll respond to every single comment and let you know if I agree with you. But to get back to what I was talking about, at this point, if you really want to gain momentum and tell yourself this too is easy, you've got to lower the price for her to enter the relationship. See, right now, even when you restore the relationship and she's in love with you and she likes you again, she's still not going to come into it most of the time because in her eyes, think about this. How many people has she enrolled justifying why she's exiting the relationship? How many enemies of the marriage has she talked to that know she's getting a divorce, that know she wants a separation from you, and to help her feel morally good about it, to help her feel like what she's doing is ethically superior to what you're doing, she has went to these enemies of the marriage and justified her actions. And the way that she's justified her actions is explaining you were a controlling narcissist, you were a cheater, you were an alcoholic, you were a pig, you were verbally abusive. Do you think she's sharing any of the things that she did in the marriage? Do you think she's sharing anything that she did to contribute to the downfall of this? No, she didn't. She's painted herself as an angel and she's painted you as Satan, and for lack of better words. And so why would a good woman do that? Because everybody does it. It's just a normal thing. This is where you have an opportunity to be a 1% man, show her some grace, and just realize that what you're experiencing right now is a really good woman, most likely, doing a really bad thing. Well, Denver, how do you know she's a really good woman? Because if it was a really bad woman, you wouldn't be watching this video trying to figure out how to restore, rekindle, rebuild this relationship. So because of the fact that you're watching the video, I'm assuming this is your lover, this is your soulmate. She's a really good woman, but she just so happens to maybe be doing some really bad things right now. The Bible actually says that a foolish woman will tear her own house down with her very own hands. Wow, Denver, I can't believe you're saying that. The Bible doesn't say a very bad woman is doing this. It's saying what causes somebody to be foolish or have foolish actions? Pride. So whenever you've done what you need to do to attract her back, you've changed, you've become worthy of being her husband, but she's still out of the relationship because it's not enough. The reason she's still on the fence, the reason she's still not willing to come back into the relationship is because the price is very expensive for her to do that. If she were to come back into the relationship at this point, she's going to look like an idiot because she's enrolled all of her friends, some of her family, maybe all of her family, on what a pig you were and why she's never going back to you. And if she did that now, she would look like a freaking moron. So it is a very expensive price that she would have to pay to come back right now. When I was at this stage, I had fully restored my relationship. My wife and I were dating. We were making love. For all intents and purposes, our marriage was fully restored. But guess what? My wife still was on the fence. Confirmation bias started to resurface a little bit. Guess why? Our oldest daughter, which is my stepdaughter, she literally had been so enrolled by my wife, justifying to her, my wife and her oldest daughter are best friends. My wife enrolled her daughter that I was such a narcissistic pig, horrible person, satanic person, in order to justify her looking good to exit the relationship. So when she actually wanted to come back into the relationship, she couldn't do it. Her daughter literally said, if you go back to that narcissistic asshole, I am done with you. I have supported you to exit this, to get a divorce, I have helped you in every way. And if you go back after all the progress you've made getting rid of him, I am never talking to you again. And she meant it. And guess what? Once we did get back together, she did not talk to her mother for several months. In order for my wife to come back into the marriage, it was a very expensive price that she had to pay. And I'll tell you something else. If I hadn't have positioned the relationship where the price was more expensive for her to stay out of the relationship than it was to come back, we would be divorced today. Well, Denver, how do you do that? It's a complicated process, but it is easy. This is easy. I teach that inside the DivorceStoppers program at denvergriffin.com. But even when you accomplish this, this is still not enough to fully restore a relationship or a marriage once you've been through confirmation bias and a breakdown in the relationship. You're almost to the finish line at this point, which leads me to step number 5. In step number 5, what we do is what a lot of programs try to do as their step number 1. In step number 5, we position you after all of this heartache. We don't want to let it go to waste. Now is the perfect opportunity for you to actually step into your anointing, step into your calling. Well, Denver, what do you mean by step into my calling? This is what I mean. Is there anything in you right now? It's like in your gut, the pit of your soul. And maybe it's been there your whole life. Maybe it's something new that all of a sudden you feel like even this spiritual pull where you're like, I know there's got to be more to life than this. You're looking at your marriage. You're looking at your wife. You're looking at where you're at today in your life, where you've shown up. This might be a new season. Or maybe at this moment in time, all of this pain that you're going through right now, maybe God not only wants to restore your marriage, but maybe this is a time where after the marriage is restored, maybe it's time to go to a new season. Maybe the man that God has called you to be up until this point in your life, maybe we're in a season where God's called you to be a man on a higher level. Maybe it's time to stop believing the lie that the sky is the limit. That's a lie I was told my whole life. Denver, money doesn't grow on trees. The sky is the limit. The sky is not the limit if you're in a great marriage with your soulmate. You can go so much further than the sky. You're the rocket. Your wife is the fuel that goes on the rocket. And you guys go way beyond the sky, way into the outer regions of space where you live a life of abundance in your health, your wealth, your relationships, your finances, relationships with your children, employees, employers. Maybe this is a season to step into your true anointing of why you're here. Maybe this is a season to let go of all the stories that you've told yourself that if I want A and I want B for my life, you've been trained your whole life that I can't have A and I can't have B. The Bible says lean not on your own understanding. I teach you what that means and how to actually manifest that into your life. But we start first with your marriage. If you try to step into your calling before your marriage is restored, it's not going to work. It's the reason 41% of my students up until this point, as of the date of this recording, come from other programs. The other programs are out there teaching, step into being a stoic man. You can go be a 1% man, a masculine man. If she doesn't want to be in the relationship, F her. That doesn't work. No contact doesn't work. Not long term. That's not going to restore a marriage. That's not going to restore a long-term relationships. If you're a freshman and you're a college student, it's going to work there. But in a long-term relationships where there's children and mortgages and businesses and history, those things just don't work. But what does work is positioning where you guys can go together. Even in the Bible, marriage was literally created before ministry. And I'm not talking about church necessarily. This program, the DivorceStoppers program at denvergriffin.com, this is my ministry. And I'm not saying I have a Christian program. I am a Christian, but the program itself is open to anybody that I believe that we can get the results for. It's my ministry because it's my calling. It's my anointing. It's what I've been uniquely qualified for. You hear me say in the videos, God doesn't necessarily always call the qualified, but he does qualify the called if you're looking for the best. If you're wanting somebody that has the wisdom because they've been where you are and they have successfully navigated the waters to go where you want to go, which is to restore this relationship, restore this marriage, I've been qualified to do that because I've been in your shoes. I know what you're feeling. I know what it's like to lose 40 pounds in less than a month because you're at a place mentally where you don't even know how to process because you feel like maybe for the first time in your life, you're not even in control of the direction that your life is heading. Maybe your wife or your lover, she's driving the train and you're an unwilling and an unwanted passenger going in the direction that you don't want. And you don't know how to take that steering wheel back. That's what I teach in the 7-week program, which leads me to the last step. Step number 6. How long does it take to turn a marriage around and restore and completely rebuild a marriage to the point that the level of intimacy, by the way, don't you just love that word? Into me see. How long does it take to turn around a marriage once it's headed for divorce? A divorce is filed. She has a limerent affair partner. She's in love with him. She said, I don't love you anymore, or I love you, but I'm not in love with you. How long does it take to bring down the walls of confirmation bias and completely restore a marriage? It takes 7 days to turn it around. We do that through communication by building intimacy. The first step in this program is to focus on restoring that marriage, turning the train around that's heading for divorce or separation forever. And we do that in 7 days. From the time that you turn it around to the point that you guys should either be back in the same house, back in the same bed, making love regularly, living as soulmates. The goal from the start of the program until the finish, it takes 7 weeks. Where we came up with the 7 weeks is psychologically. That's how long it takes through neurogenesis, and we stimulate that in the program through communication, and also to implement on renewing the mind biologically. And we do that through communication by psychologically, over the course of 7 weeks, re-engineering the mind through neuroplasticity. And it takes 7 weeks through regular, positive, new relationship histories where you land the plane correctly every single week in the timing. That's the smart way. We address issues in a smart way so that we're leading both of you out of your resentment. We're leading both of you out of the confirmation bias. We're teaching both of you how to build intimacy and mutual admiration as you rebuild and restore the relationship to the point that it's going to be better than it was since the day you guys met. Our goal is never to take you back to the way that you were. We want to 10x those days. We want to position you so that you take control of that train that's heading for divorce or restoration. We want to position you where you actually can regain power in the relationship to turn that train around. The next video that I have that's coming up after this, I'm going to have my editor put it on the screen. All you have to do is click on it. In that video, I'm going to tell you the first steps to actually take that steering wheel back so you can regain power in the relationship. But I want to ask you this. If you feel like you really are heading for divorce forever, or if you feel like you really are heading toward the end of the relationship, you hear me say regularly, time is only on your side if you put it there. We are coming up on divorce month. The reason that I'm bringing that up, I was in a long-term relationship of 23 years that failed simply because I ran out of time. I'm in a new marriage right now with a beautiful wife. It's a soulmate relationship, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But in my first relationship, the only reason that relationship ended is because I didn't put enough speed on it because I didn't know how. If that's you and you feel like your relationship is in danger of ending forever, maybe you've already got a paper divorce and you're like, I don't know if this is possible. She already has a boyfriend. It looks like it might be too little too late. If you're not sure about that, why don't you book a call with us? But first, before you do that, we have a free masterclass. In my free masterclass, I teach you how to put some speed on this to turn things around before it's too late. I only have limited seats available for the free masterclass this week. The way that you can register for that, and I would encourage you to do so right now, is go to denvergriffin.com, and you can even put /free masterclass. Select a seat. We only have a handful of seats left this week. Register for your seat right now before it's too late. Don't wait. Also, the upcoming video on how to regain power in the relationship, if that's something that you feel like would give you some benefit today, click on that when it comes up on the next screen. And finally, do me a favor, if you haven't already done so, if you feel like this content is radically different from anything else that you've looked at, please, please, please not only hit the subscribe button right now, also hit the bell notification so you're notified as I post the next video that could turn your relationship around fast and furious.